your left. Whetstone is on your right. Both these players 4-0 and playing the decks that they traditionally do play.
So part of the reason, if you want to play Burn, I strongly recommend a Rakdos style over the more traditional Boros one. One is you're just a little bit faster. You have more of a critical mass of Lava Spikes. But the big reason for me is you really have very little in the way of instants. The deck is very sorcery heavy. And Izzet Phoenix's best sideboard cards against Burn typically are Dispels. And Dispel does not line up all that well against the Rakdos style. Once you're Boros, you're playing with Lightning Helix and Boros Charm. They're 2-mana instants, and Dispel is extremely good against those cards.
Donegan with an island and an opt on Whetstone's end step into a mountain and just passing the turn. For John Phillip Whetstone, he started things off with a Black Cleave Cliffs and a Monastery of Swiftspear. It's a Bloodstained Mire and another Swiftspear here. And now here's an opt for Donegan once again. Dylan going to keep that card. This might be a Lightning Bolt here. It's actually going to be a Lightning Axe, discarding a Scalding Tarn. But that'll take care of Swiftspear all the same. And it looks like a Rift Bolt's going to go on suspend. We'll head back over to Donegan. Donegan now is going to sacrifice a copy of Scalding Tarn and get himself a basic island. We'll see where Dylan wants to go from here. Start with a little cantripping here with Serum Visions. Again, do remember Dylan Donegan won his SCG Regionals last weekend with Izzet Phoenix. He'll play another Serum Visions.
And this has the look of maybe trying to end this all with Faithful Suiting and some Phoenixes.
Oh, I saw a raise of the eyebrow that he was not thrilled with. As here's a Faithless Looting. Now, does he have any Phoenixes to discard? It looks like the answer might be no.
Really bad news because Whetstone's potentially set up a pretty massive third turn here.
Yeah. Pyromancer Ascension among the cards discarded, but no copies of Phoenix. So Rift Bolt's going to come off suspend. One Prowess trigger there for the Swiftspear. Now it's going to be a copy of Bump in the Night. And now Swiftspear will come across here for 3. The follow-up is another Rift Bolt on suspend. So not a bad sequence of events here for Whetstone. This will be a Manamorphose here for Donegan. He'll draw a card and get a little mana per usual.
And Whetstone missing land drops 3 cards in hand. So even if you're able to answer the Swiftspear here, can't be too optimistic about surviving.
Looks like a blue and a red mana here off the Manamorphose for Dylan Donegan. Does have a copy of Faithless Suiting in hand, but has not been able to find a Thing in the Ice or Arclight Phoenix.
And my experience in the matchup is if they don't put you under pressure, either with a quick Thing in the Ice or with Arclight Phoenixes, they cannot defend themselves for all that long. There's a lot of air in the deck. They spend a lot of turns just kind of manipulating their draw step. And if they're not putting you under any sort of pressure, they don't have a whole... They typically have 0 counter spells in the main deck and not a ton of creature removal. And if they're not attacking, then it doesn't really matter that much.
Well, Donegan is not thrilled to be playing Snapcaster Mage here. But he will be. And he has to use the Lightning Axe to take care of the Swiftspear and use his entire hand. So the mana floating and the cards that were left over is how he took care of that Swiftspear. But Dylan's on E, which is something you rarely say about the Izzet Phoenix deck. Here comes Light Up the Stage after the Rift Bolt hit him. Shard Volley and a Swiftspear is what's been found off Light Up the Stage. Donegan currently sitting at 5 life. Cannot be feeling good about how this game's going.
Yeah, I mean, effective 2, because that Shard Volley is available through the following turn.
Whetstone's just going to pass the turn back, leaving a mana open to be able to maybe cast a Shard Volley on the end step, another burn spell on his own turn. Faithless Looting will be played from the graveyard, flashback style. Draw 2, discard 2. Very quick discards there for Donegan, a Lightning Axe and a Flooded Strand. Yeah, here comes Snapcaster Mage. Whetstone's going to fall down to 17. Whetstone will draw a card. This will be a Swiftspear. There's an attack for 1. Lightning Bolt's going to take care of that.
Hard to imagine what could be going on in Whetstone's hand where he's missing land drops and doesn't have lethal.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. There's a Shard Volley.
the only thing I can really guess is a bunch of Searing Blazes.
That or, I mean, I guess he would have played Eidolon this turn if he could have, right?
Yeah, or he would have played a Swift Spear the following turn also if he had that line.
Sure.
But whatever.
Yeah.
He's got had another Shard Volley to wrap it up.
Well, John Phillip Whetstone's going to win game number 1 here over Dylan Donegan. Burn up a game very quickly over Izzet Phoenix as Donegan did a lot of cantripping, but it didn't amount to much of anything.
No, you gotta put Burn under pressure. It's really important from the Phoenix side, I think. Now, if you do put him under pressure, Burn often has no recourse. It's hard for them to kill creatures, and they're a little bit slower than your faster draws. But if you spend the first couple of turns just sort of cantripping without getting Phoenixes in the graveyard, I think it's very hard to win.
Let's go to the sideboards, and let's start with Dylan Donegan, who's got 2 Abrades, 2 Blood Moons, 2 Dispels, 2 Spell Pierce, and here come the one-ofs in Beacon Bolt, Chandra, Torch of Defiance, Flame Slash, Ravenous Trap, Shatterstorm, Surgical Extraction, and a copy of a card we don't see very much in Threads of Disloyalty.
So the big ones, I think, are the 2 copies of Dispel and Spell Pierce. Even if Whetstone's a little light on Dispel targets, I still think you should be bringing it in. And beyond that, I think you definitely want the 2 copies of Abrade and maybe the 1 Flame Slash as well. Eidolon the Great Revel is a really threatening card out of the burn deck. The Abrades play well against Eidolon and the other creatures. Flame Slash is the trickier one. It is another answer to Eidolon the Great Revel, but sorceries are so bad in this matchup compared to instants that you may want to just leave that in the sideboard and bring in another cantrip. But certainly the Abrades, the Spells, and Spell Pierces.
Other side of things here for John. He's got 3 Murderous Cut through, Rakdos Charm, 3 Skull Crack, 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Tormont's Crypt, an Engineered Explosives, and a copy of Searing Blaze. Interesting sideboard.
Yeah, some interesting options here for Whetstone. I like the copies of Murderous Cut as a way to manage Thing in the Ice. That's a really tricky card in the matchup. I don't mind having extra Searing effects as a way to manage Arclight Phoenix. Often it's easy for Phoenix to get the first Arclight Phoenix going on the cheap, but bringing it back in subsequent turns can be a challenge, and the Searings can offset that a little bit.
Murderous Cut, a card I kind of forgot existed.
Yeah, me too.
Honestly. Normally you see people just go to Dismember, right?
Yeah, this is sort of the analog, I guess, to Path to Exile. This deck has, when it has access to white, Whetstone playing with Murderous Cut instead without white mana.
Well, these players are going to shuffle up here for game number 2. Game number 2 will be underway here in just a moment, but let's talk about the St. Patrick's Day sale. See, you're Patrick.
Yep.
You're Irish, too.
Yeah, it's true. Sale on green. Color on green. There's a sale on green cards. Literally the last nationality it's okay to be openly bigoted against. Over at go.starcitygames.com/sale. It's the last one. You're not allowed to make fun of any other nationality anymore except the Irish. That's still fine. So I'm sure once a year we're going to have the Shamrock sale. Shamrock Shake will be back at McDonald's.
You know it. You know it.
You're just going to have a bunch of just not Irish people dressed in green, just puking in the streets the next 2 days, wearing Kiss Me I'm Irish shirts and talking with just the most offensive accents.
Yeah, have a Guinness or 2.
Yeah.
That's right. Don't they make like green Guinnesses or something?
They have a drink. It's called an Irish car bomb. It references actually an extremely violent conflict that still has political and religious consequences in the region. You can order one of those at any bar. They know what you're talking about. And then on your way back, you can hop on your phone and go order an Eternal Witness or a Foil Forest or whatever from Star City Games.
Yes, you can. And you should.
And you should.
And you should.
Because the savings are deep.
That's right.
This is deep discounts.
What is an Irish car bomb?
It's, I think it's like Guinness and Bailey's or something. It is disgusting.
Apparently it's Guinness, Bailey's, and Jameson?
Yeah.
That's a lot all in one thing.
Well, it's also just a lot of sort of milkier beverages because Guinness has that head, and then Bailey's is a very dairy sort of liqueur. So the aftertaste and what it leaves on the glass is just horrible.
Yeah, that doesn't.
It's a less than some of the parts sort of beverage. If you put a Guinness and a Bailey's and a Jameson in front of me, let me drink them all individually. That's a superior drink. Anywho,
you jam them all together.
I have some feelings about St. Patrick's Day.
I couldn't tell.
It was a really important part of sort of radicalizing my politics. Of the first exposure I ever had to any sense of cultural appropriation or being the subject of stereotypical behavior, I lost my mind. I want to drive up and down Colfax Avenue in Denver with a Tommy gun out of the window and just spray fire into every establishment I see during St. Patrick's Day. So
that is not true. That is not true. He does not.
No, I don't actually mean that. I just fantasize about it.
He does not do that either. He does not do that either.
It's totally different.
It's not true. It's a goblin guide for John.
Another cantrip on Donegan, on top of Donegan's deck.
Opt will go to the bottom. That is a Sulphur Falls for Dylan. We'll head back over to John Whetstone. Scalding Tarn. John will sacrifice that, go down to at least 18, maybe 16 if he's searching for a black source, which would be Blood Crypt, of course. There is a Blood Crypt. Tonight at dinner, I'll get you an Irish car bomb.
Thanks, buddy.
That's right. I'll get one, too, and we can cheers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Todd will already have at least one, just ready to roll.
Yeah.
Monastery Swift Spear, and now Bump in the Night.
He'll ask for the sidecar.
Yeah. There's a Lightning Bolt to take care of the Swift Spear. Bump will resolve, and now Goblin Guide will attack. Serum Vision.
Another cantrip. When there's a cantrip on top and not a land, it's the best feeling.
Yeah.
It never gets old.
Back to Donegan we go. Serum Visions. Draw.
And especially if they miss their land drop.
Well, split the difference. Now it's a Faithless Looting. See, I don't understand why more people aren't playing Burn. Because Burn just kind of destroys this deck. There's a Flame Slash.
Destroy is a strong. That is strong. Their best draws you don't have a whole lot of recourse against.
I don't think they have a lot of recourse against your best draws.
Just being faster, or if you're too creature heavy and thinking the ice plus removal, just. Well, but no, I like being on the Burn side, but I don't think the matchup's a lock by any means.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan did turn the corner here pretty quickly because now he's coming in for 6 in the air. There's a Rift Bolt on Suspend past the turn back. And Dylan gonna draw. That's a Manamorphose. Draw a card. I think he may have picked up a copy of Dispel with blue-red floating. Dispel's really nice here, as you mentioned, after game 1. But part of the reason you play Rakdos Burn as opposed to Boros Burn is because you're more sorcery speed.
And to that end, I think Whetstone should have cast the Lightning Bolt. If he has a Lightning Bolt in his hand, he should have cast it on his own turn while the shields were down.
Let's see what this is. Oh, this is going to be Murderous Cut. All right. Oh, I think that might get dispelled.
Yeah, sure.
Just counter any instant, right?
Right.
Whetstone's down to 4. Rift Bolts. I think it has no choice but to go upstairs.
No, I mean, if you have a Searing Blaze in your hand, you can Rift Bolt a Phoenix, and if you draw a land, you might actually have some time. The problem with taking another hit is so much of your development is predicated on fetch lands, and if you fall to 1, then a lot of your ability to get a third land and be able to play 2 spells in 1 turn, it becomes really dicey.
Sure, I guess the thing I dislike about trying to kill an Arclight Phoenix is, like, that Arclight Phoenix is going to be back in 2 turns most likely.
Oh, it's not good. I'm not, but the other path I think of, you're not going to be able to finish Donegan off from 10 if you Rift Bolt him, so you're kind of priced in to at least answering 1 Arclight Phoenix. Once you're there, I think you need to answer the second one. And just hope that he bricks off for a bunch of turns. Also, Whetstone has Rakdos Charm and Tormod's Crypt. He may have boarded those in. So if he's drawing to a way to exile the graveyard, then that also makes it more attractive.
An attack for 3. That's a lightning bolt going there. All right, looks like Donegan's just going to pass the turn back.
Yeah, I think Donegan has a cantrip in hand, but I think his preference here is try to set up 3 spells in one turn. Just go to next turn, start off the main phase with a cantrip, and try to get to 3 spells and get the Phoenixes back.
Yep. Let's see what this is. It's a bolt upstairs.
Light up the stage.
Yep. There is light up the stage. Goblin Guide, Lava Spike.
Well, I mean, at this point, there's no cost in really. So if you go to 3, you die to Lightning Bolt, but I don't think you can give Donegan all the time in the world here to set back up. And going to 3 here, it doesn't change the math on the Phoenixes because, you know, he has 2 to get, so they're both lethal.
Oh, Goblin Guide's going to come in. All right. Donegan's going to start with the Thought Scour. Spell Pierce and Serum Visions go to the graveyard. This is a Faithless Looting. Draw 2.
I think he has a 3rd land to flash it back, and that should be...
There's the Serum Visions, and we're done. So Dylan Donegan's going to tie things up here against John Whetstone. Is it Phoenix and Burn going to get ready for a 3rd and final one here? So take a look at the sideboards one more time. Murderous Cut, we already know is in the deck in some capacity. Rakdos Charm, Skull Crack, Collective Brutality, Tormod's Crypts, Engineer Explosive, Searing Blaze. Those are the options there for Whetstone. Doesn't look like he's going back to his sideboard right now.
Gotta say, a card that I wish Whetstone had access to is Searing Blood. I like it a lot in this matchup because, you know, you rarely have the luxury of just sitting on your fetch lands and waiting for the perfect spot to Searing Blaze someone. And the fact that Searing Blood can be cast at any point and answers a Phoenix, I think is really helpful in the matchup. It's also not the hardest to pair with something else, either a block or another spell to kill Thing in the Ice.
Donegan looks like he's happy with this configuration too, so these players are already shuffling up and getting ready here for game number 2. We'll take a moment here to learn a little bit more about young Dylan Donegan. You know he's 21 now?
Yeah, he told me he's like almost done with college, and yeah.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
He asked if he could use me as a reference for his resume. Whatever. He asked me that 2 days ago. I was like, holy crap, man.
Yeah.
I remember when you were 16 playing in Opens.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while.
Hometown, Cary, North Carolina, 14 Opens played last year with 5 top mates. He's got 15 Open top mates on the resume. Our youngest invitational champion ever. And I would not be surprised if he were in the Players' Championship again later this year.
Agreed.
Yeah.
He's majoring in criminal justice over at East Carolina University. Should be done soon.
There you go.
Says he wants to work somewhere in the Triangle.
What is that?
Where the colleges are in North Carolina. So like Raleigh, Durham.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. I've never been in that area, really.
Neither have I.
I've never been to Raleigh. Where's Duke at? Is Duke at Durham?
Yeah.
And then Chapel Hill. That's the other one. That's the 3rd part of the triangle, I think. That's where North Carolina is.
University of, yeah.
Yeah. Good basketball game yesterday.
I caught some of it on the plane.
I couldn't tell you a single player on the Tar Heels,
Neither could I.
but they just were very good.
Yeah.
It was like the classic case of one team has an insane player, than Zion Williamson.
They have several.
They have
several.
Really
I mean,
players,
Zion, that is a loaded team.
And then the other team is like, we play team ball and we do everything well. But I'm sure there's some good players.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some freshman lottery pick.
Yeah.
At least one on their team, but.
Yeah, I'm not big on college basketball, but that was a good game yesterday. John Whetstone will be on the play here for game number 3. Remember, after this match is over, we take a short break, then we'll come back. We'll reveal some more SCGCon summer details. We'll watch our time-shifted match. And, hey, at the beginning of round 6, we're going to be taking some questions from the audience. The flora and fauna,
yeah,
as you like to say.
The rabble.
The rabble masters.
Yeah. No, they're the rabble tokens.
Okay. Okay. Looks like Whetstone's going to take a mulligan here, which means that gives us a moment to talk about our YouTube page. where you can go watch replays of this tournament and a whole bunch of other stuff too, like Versus Live with Todd Anderson and Ross Merriam, Commander Versus with Jeremy Knoll, Justin Parnell, Jonathan Suarez, and the American Dream, Stephen Green. Episodes of Flashback, Best of SCG Tour moments, and a whole bunch more. You can subscribe today at youtube.com/StarCityGames. Become one of over 160,000 subscribers now. I checked earlier today.
Yep.
That's right. We're going to roll on up to 200K here pretty soon. It's a pretty big game.
I guess I'll go subscribe. Do I have to pay to subscribe?
No, it's you literally the click of a button.
Okay, cool.
That just means you're not subscribed to
Don't be a jerk about it. Come on.
Not subscribe to any YouTube channels.
No. No, I'm not. Why would I do that?
Yeah. Do I have to pay to subscribe to YouTube? It's like, do I have to pay to follow someone on Twitter?
Listen, I create more content than I consume, okay? I don't know about all of this.
Whetsone will suspend a Rift Bolt. This is the thing in the ice. This is bad news for John and Phillip Whetstone.
Yeah, the hope here is that with the weird sort of start that he had, that he has to light up the stage, but if he's targeting thing in the ice, I don't believe that's the case. If he has a searing effect here, it's not a horrible turn. Again, as long as you can keep yourself from not being under pressure, the Phoenix deck does not do a whole lot.
All right, another thing in the ice. Back over to Whetstone. It's an Eidolon, and in response will be a Thought Scour. So now it's on Donegan to actually be able to get this thing off the battlefield. Eidolon is a real issue in some of Izzet Phoenix's draws.
Yeah, if you have a bolt here, it's not that big of a deal. But if the plan here is to play 3 spells and flip into Awaken Horror, one is you take a lot of damage along the way. 2 is you've seen the sideboard here from Whetstone having Murderous Cut. Normally against Burn, if you're able to transform, you're good to go. That creature is not going anywhere. Here, from Donegan's side, it's a little bit riskier to tap out without Dispel cover or Spell Pierce cover, because if you take a bunch of damage and then all that happens is you get tagged with a Murderous Cut, it may not be worth the points.
Well, Donegan's down to 13. Looks like he's going to try to play through the Eidolon. 1 Arclight Phoenix in the graveyard. And now, let's see if there will be more than one after this Faithless Looting.
The real prize here for Donegan is if he can find a counterspell, particularly Dispel, because if you have cover for Murderous Cut, this is going to be way too fast.
Donegan going to play a land now, too. There's another copy of Thing in the Ice. Arclight Phoenixes, plural, are coming back from the graveyard.
Now, even if Whetstone has a Murderous Cut, doesn't matter. It's too much damage. 13 coming across. That is going to do it. Dylan Donegan's going to win this game and match over John Whetstone. 2 games to 1. Izzet Phoenix will take care of Burn, and for the regional champion and 15-time SCG Tour Open Top 8 competitor.